Okay, so we'll get started. Um, in geometry, there are a lot of rules that we can find helpful when we're answering questions. There are six rules, but these are the rules that I give to my leaving cert guys tonight, or today, I should say. We're actually only going to be working on the first two. So the two rules that we're going to be working on today are that a straight line has 180 degrees and the opposite angles are equal. So we'll start off with rule number one. A straight line, let me make my writing a little bit better, has 180 degrees. So a question might say to me, what is the size of the angle A? Well, if I have a straight line, let's say this angle here is 130 degrees, and this is my angle A. Well, I know that my straight line, so this straight line here, has 180 degrees. So this whole angle, that whole angle is 180 degrees. And that 180 degrees is made up of two parts. It's made up of the part that we know to be 30 degrees, or sorry, 130 degrees. And also what we're looking to find, which is what I know to be a degree. So I can use a little bit of clever algebra here now, and I can say that 180 minus 130, so bring over that 130, make it a minus. I can say that 180 degrees minus 130 degrees is equal to A, and 180 minus 130, that's 50. So I can say that my angle A has 50 degrees. Okay? That makes sense? Any questions there? Grand, good stuff. So, I want you guys to do one. This time, I'll zoom back out in a second. What is the size of the angle B? And let's say we're given this diagram here. And that angle is 105 degrees. That angle is 15 degrees. We want to find the size of the angle A there. Okay, so off you go. Tell me what is the size of the angle A. I believe you're in the second year document. I am. I am in the second year document. But I have all the notes set up here from when I used to teach second years. So rather than going back and forth, I said I'd just do it in here. Okay, so everyone try and get an answer to me. Sorry, that should say what is the size of the angle A, not the size of the angle B. First year maths, yeah, first year maths. I'm just using the second year notes. So you guys will be in second year in what, 8 weeks, 9 weeks? 9 weeks until you guys are in second year. All right, just another 20 seconds. So everybody, I mean everybody, try and get an answer into me. Even if you're just like, no, I just don't understand. Just put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Get something into me. Right. I know my straight line has 180 degrees. That whole angle is 180. And that 180 degrees is made up of three parts. It's made up of the angle of 15 degrees. It's made up of the angle of 8 degrees. And it's made up of the angle of 105 degrees. So I can add together the 15 and the 105, and that gives me 120. So I can say that 180 degrees is equal to A plus 120 degrees. Bring my 120 over, and I can make it a minus. And you get 180 degrees minus 120 degrees is equal to A. And 180 degrees minus 120 degrees is 60 degrees. And 60 degrees is equal to A. I must turn off the emojis flying across the screen. Not that I don't love you sending me different flags of the world, but bit distracting all the same. All right, so we have A to be 60 degrees. Okay, let's do, or just before we go on, actually, any questions there? Great, let's do one more so on the angles being, on the straight angle being 180. So this time, you're going to tell me what is the size of the angle, not angel, angle B. Let's change it up. Okay, so we have a straight line again. And this time, we're going to have an angle 3x, an angle x, and an angle 100. And the angle, you know what? I'm going to change the question. Find the size, or what is x? So tell me, what is x? Okay, so I'll give you another 30 seconds. Last chance. Try and get something into me, lads. Even if you're not sure, just take a guess. Okay. Straight angle as 180 degrees. Right? We've seen it two or three times now. So that 180 degrees is made up of an angle which is 3x degrees, an angle which is 100 degrees, and an angle which is x degrees. I'm kind of throwing a little bit of algebra at you, even though this class is on lines and angles. But algebra is the basis of all your work for the next probably 6 years of your life, in maths at least. So no harm to see it again. So I'm going to bring over that 100, make it a minus 100, and I'll get 180 minus 100 is equal to 3x and x. I can add those together because those are what we call like terms. That should be 100. And that is 4x. So 180 minus 100 is 80 equal to 4x. So I'll divide both sides by 4 and I get 80 over 4 is equal to x. So 20 is equal to x. So that's my answer. Okie dokie. Any questions? So that's a straight line has 180 degrees. Okay. So the next rule that we're going to look at is the rule of opposite angles. Right. So if we have two lines intersecting each other, two lines intersecting each other, let me try and draw a straight line. Like so. There we go. If we have two lines intersecting each other, the opposite angles will be equal. So the angle A here will be equal to the angle A there, and the angle B there will be equal to the angle B here, right? So this is just a rule that we have in our geometry chapter, in our lines and angles chapter, that when we have two lines intersecting, the opposite angles are equal. Now, this is a bit of a hard question, so I don't expect everyone to get this, but I want you to give it your best go now. So what is A plus B? What is A plus B? More of us are getting this than I expected, so well done. Well, this is a straight line, and we know a straight line has 180 degrees, and that angle of 180 degrees is made up of an A and a B, so A plus B is 180. It's just a little, I suppose, thing I wanted to show you. We're not just using these rules in isolation, lads. We're going to be building up a toolbox of rules that we can use to approach different questions. Okay. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Trying to get rid of the red line without getting rid of the black one. There we go. Brilliant. So what is a plus b? It's 180 degrees. Okay, so I want you guys to tell me so. If I have a setup like this with this angle to be 100 degrees, I want you guys to tell me, first of all, what is the size of the angle C? So what is the size of the angle C? They're vertically opposite angles. And what do you know about vertically opposite angles? They're equal. They're equal. So C is 100 degrees. The next thing I want you to tell me is what is the size of the angle D? What is the size of the angle D? Well, this is a straight line. Straight line has 180 degrees. So that angle of 180 degrees is made up of the angle to be 100 degrees plus some angle d degrees. So I can bring across that 100, make it a minus, and I'll get 80 is equal to d. Okay? Is that all right, lads? Any questions there? For those of you who haven't been in one of my classes before, there's just a little game I play. Not even a game, it's just a little thing that I do to try and get a sense of how people are finding a topic. So I'm gonna get you to put a 1, 2, or 3 into the chat. So 1 is like, Grant, no hassle at all, could do it in my sleep. This question I'm talking about. 2 is like, yeah, I can kind of see it when you're doing it, but not so good at doing it myself. And then the last one, uh, if you are like really, really caught and just don't know how to do it, put a 3 in the chat. What's my name? Diarmuid. Diarmuid's my name. You don't need to call me sir or teacher, just Diarmuid is fine. Up Claire, go out of that, Killian. Go out of that. I'll kick you out of the call now if you're not careful. I'm a Cork man. I'm still upset about last October or last August. Um, I thought your name was TJ Haggerty. No, no, TJ's my boss. TJ is the guy who owns Breakthrough Maths. So I do the name under his classes, but my name's Dermot. I understood what you were saying, so I'd say 3. Okay, cool. All right. What happened in August? Cork lost the All Ireland final to Clare. There's tears rolling down my cheeks here. Not really. We beat them last weekend. Okay, so let's maybe do one more of these. So, right. Okay, so I want you guys to tell me what is the size of the angle A and the size of the angle B there. So in the chat, tell me what is the size of the angle A, what is the size of the angle B. Well, I'll give you another 30 seconds, lads. Okay, right. So, let's take the low-hanging fruit first. Let's take the easy route. Um, B and the angle 30 degrees are vertically opposite from each other, so the angle B is going to be 30 degrees. So B is equal to um, B is equal to 30 degrees. Okay, so we have that. So now to find the angle A. So that's just from 30 and B being vertically opposite. So to find the angle A now, I can say that this is a straight line. That's a straight line, meaning that this whole fella has an angle of 180 degrees. That angle of 180 degrees is made up of the 30-degree angle plus the angle that I'm looking for, which is the angle A. 180 minus 30 is 150. So I get A to be 150. Okay? Any questions on that there, lads? Cool. Give me a one, two, or three in the chat, lads. Okay. That's actually everything that we wanted to cover today, but we've about half an hour left. So we'll move on to one is the easy one, Maya. We'll move on to some of the rules you probably won't see until next year, but I suppose look, no harm to see them now today. Okay, so those are our first two rules done there. You'll be able to answer the quiz with just those two rules by the way. So the third rule then is the rule of alternate angles. What was the first rule? The first rule was so we had two rules here. We have the opposite angles, so vertically opposite angles being equal, and we had the first rule being that a straight line has 180 degrees. I'll number them for you. So this is the first rule. This is the second rule. This is the third rule. Okay, so alternate angles. are useful in quite a specific scenario. When we have two parallel lines, so parallel lines are lines that go on and on forever, but they'll never meet. So they're parallel. And then we have what's called a transverse. Now, a transverse is a fancy math word for a line that cuts across two parallel lines, like that. Right? So we have two parallel lines, those are the thick black lines, and then we have the thin black line, and that's a transverse. You don't need to know what each of those mean, but that's what it is. And the rule of alternate angles says that the angle inside the crossing point between the parallel lines and the transverse, those will be equal. So the angle A there is equal to the angle A there. And we can recognize this by almost like a Z shape. So Danny got there hitting. Danny said, "Is this the Z thing?" It is, Danny. So we can recognize this from having a Z shape. So I can draw a Z shape like this one, and the angles inside the Z, those will be equal. Now, just I suppose, look, a little note here. I'm saying the angles inside the Z are equal, but I could equally say the angles outside the Z are equal because if the angle if the angles A are equal and that whole fella is at 180 degrees, well then the angles B must be equal as well. Right? So I'm saying the angles inside the Z shape are equal, but I could equally say that the angles outside the Z shape are equal. But it's up to you which one you prefer to use. Okay, do you see what I mean? So the angles B there are also equal just because we know our straight line has 180 degrees. Can I go to the bathroom? You can, of course. I suppose I can hardly stop you using the bathroom in your own house. Okay. So, let's do a question here. So, if we have two parallel lines and a transverse like so, this is the angle 45 degrees. I want you to tell me what is the size of the angle A, and then what is the size of the angle B as well. So off you go. What's the size of the angle A and B? Okay, just another 30 seconds, so lads. Even if you're not sure, even if you can only get one of them, just try and get something into me. Okay. Right. So first of all, the angle A. Well, we have a bit of a kind of backwards and twisted Z shape, but we have a Z shape all the same. So the angles inside that Z shape will be equal. So the angle A is equal to 45 degrees. Now, that's a straight line, and I know that a straight line has 180 degrees, and that 180 degrees is made up of, why do you keep doing this to me? Is made up of the angle B plus the angle A. But don't I know now that the angle A is 45 degrees? So I can say that 180 degrees is equal to B plus 45. And bring across that 45, make it a minus 45, and I'll get 180 minus 45 is equal to B, and that is 135. So B is 135 degrees. Okay? Any questions there, lads? Okay, give me a one, two, or three. One, very, very easy. Two, yeah, grand. Three, not easy at all. Don't like it. All ones and twos. Okay, good, good, good. Right. Um, I'll give you a proper question. So, yeah, let's do this one. I'll clean it off. So, yeah, so E, don't see the answers, and I'll let you have a go at that. Will these questions be in the summer exam? I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer because I'm not your teacher in school. I'm only your teacher here. So I don't know what you've done in school or I don't know what your teachers are prioritizing. So always best to ask your teachers, lads. If you're unsure of anything, just ask your teachers. Okay, so off you go and have a crack. So there's six there, so you can just put it all in one message to me. I'll give you a few minutes to do that actually. Um, so just try and fill in as much information. How do you read this question? Just use the three rules that I have here. So a straight line has 180 degrees, opposite angles are equal, and alternate angles. Use those three rules to try and fill in all the information that you can. In fact, I'd nearly just ignore the first part there. I don't recommend always doing that, by the way, but I think it worked quite nicely in this question. Yeah, no worries, Paula. I'll go through a solution here. Don't worry. Just make your best go. So don't worry about trying to do all of this. Just try and fill in. So even if you draw this diagram in your copy, it doesn't have to be perfect, just a rough sketch, and try and fill in as much information as you can using these three rules here. So it's just bringing together all the work that we've done in today's class. Yeah, good stuff, Paul. Well done. Danny, excellent. So I'll give you another probably minute, nearly 2 minutes. Yeah, probably 2 minutes actually. I'll give you another 2 minutes. If anyone would like a little bit longer, just put a message in the chat, but I can go through a solution now if you'd like, but I'll give people plenty of time. Does anyone want a few more minutes? Maybe another minute? Just throw something in the chat if you do. Okay, no worries, I'll give you another minute. So the quiz won't have any alternate angles. The quiz will just be on the first two rules. Okay, we'll go through a solution here. Okay, so we'll pick the low-hanging fruit first, lads, because you know, make your life as easy as possible. We've this angle to be 85 degrees. It's opposite to the angle C, so straight away we can go, right, C is 85 degrees as well, right? That's because those angles are opposite from each other. Okay? That's just a rule of opposite angles. This is a straight line. A straight line has, you're sick of hearing me say it, 180 degrees. So a straight line has 180 degrees. So 180 degrees is made up of two parts. It's made up of 85 degrees and D, the angle D. So bring across that 85, make it a minus, and I'll have 180 minus 85 is equal to D. So 95 is equal to D. Okay, so I can say then that the angle D is 95 degrees. Well, if the angle D is 95 degrees, the angle E is opposite, so the angle E is also going to be 95 degrees. Right? And again, that's the same as our second rule. That's our opposite angles. D is opposite E, so that's 85 degrees. Or sorry, 95 degrees. 95 degrees for E. Right. Everyone okay up to there? If you're not okay, that's okay. You just should say it to me if you're not sure thus far. Yeah, all good. Not too sure. Okay, so Sue, are you okay with the angle C being 85? Yeah, okay, you're okay with the angle C being 85. Are you okay with the angle D being 95? You are okay? Okay. So so then I'm assuming if the it's the angle E then. So the angle D and the angle E are vertically opposite angles, or they're just opposite angles actually. So the angle D and the angle E are opposite angles. So this is our second rule. Second rule being that opposite angles are equal. So the angle D and the angle E are equal. So we know the angle D is 95. That must mean that the angle E is also 95 degrees. Does that make sense now? You can say no as well. Okay, cool. Right. So we have C, D, and E. My diagram is going to get a little bit messy if I don't clean it up, and I know people don't really love when I write stuff on the board and then take it off, but otherwise my work is going to be very cluttered, so I'm just going to clean that off for the sake of uh, headspace. Right. So the next thing we can do is we can use the third rule, and we can use the third rule, which is the rule of alternate angles to make a Z shape like that one. Make a Z shape like that one. Okay, and what do we know about the angles in a Z shape? They are equal. So the angle A is equal to the angle 85. The angle A is 85 degrees. So that's our rule of alternate angles. Now, the next thing we can do is we can say that A and F are opposite angles. A and F are opposite angles. What do we know about opposite angles? Look at the second rule down there. Second rule says that opposite angles are equal. So the angle F is equal to the angle A. The angle F is, or sorry, the angle A is 85 degrees. So the angle F must also be 85 degrees. Mick, I can't stop the emojis from my end, but what you can do is if you go down to the bottom of your screen, it should say reactions, and then there's a little like menu bar, and if you click hidden, so click the menu bar and then click hidden, and that should stop the emojis. I have them hidden for myself here, so I can't see the emojis that people are sending. I don't think there's a way for me to stop them, people sending them though, unless I ask very politely that you guys stop sending emojis. Okay, so we have just back to the maths now. We have the angle A and the angle F to be equal. The angle A is 85 degrees from the Z shape, the alternate angles rule, and the angle F is equal to the angle A because of opposite angles. The angle A is 85, the angle F is 85. Is anyone not sure of how I am up to here? Again, it's fine if you're not sure. You should just tell me. Okay, so then the last one that we have left is the angle B. And I have a few options here. So I could say that, oh, pencil's dead. Right, 2 seconds. I could say that there's a straight line here. So the angle B and the angle A makes a straight line. The angle A is 85, so the angle B must be 95, right? Make it up to 180. Or I can say that I have another Z shape, which is this guy here. So again, the angles inside the Z shape must be equal. So the angle B must be equal to the angle E. We know the angle E already is 95 degrees. The angle B must also be 95 degrees. Okay, and that's all my information filled in. Does anyone have any questions there? Okay, grand. Give me a 1, 2, or 3 on that one, lads. Mainly ones and twos. Mainly ones and twos. Mainly ones, in fact. Okay. Look, I hadn't planned to go through as much of as we did today. Um, I planned to only go through the first two rules, but we played through those, so I said let's keep going. I will leave it there, so lads, and I won't do any more with the look. Fair play, we got through a huge amount of work today. So even if you only got 60 or 70% of the work we got through today, look, that still puts you in a great place because we got through so much. Okay, so well done. That's all down to your good work.